this week's TED Talk by Sean Anker to be as entertaining and as intriguing as I did. His theory on positive psychology that positivity or happiness breeds success is, well, at the very least, a good way to go about life. His work in many ways reminds me of studies that I've seen on employee engagement, in that there's a correlation between workplace happiness or engagement and productivity. In short, happy employees equals better on-the-job results. I find that to be really, really interesting. So I really enjoyed this week's thing. Anyway, I digress. So for my answers to this week's questions, for number one, Mr. Anker seemed to be primarily measuring the attitudes of happiness, particularly as it pertains to productivity and success. His results were that we are more successful and productive when our happiness or positivity is rated higher than if we are negative or neutral or even stressed. For number two, on the level of measurement, I would say that the level of measurement used was ordinal. I say this because I didn't notice a discussion of how positive one has to be, just that they have to be positive. So there's no reference to a specific interval. However, as a side note to that, I think it would be incredibly interesting to know if greater levels of positivity correlate to greater levels of success. It's quite possible that Mr. Anker also used ratio as a level of measurement. A Likert scale would be quite beneficial in this type of study. For 3 and 4, I'm going to run these guys all together. So Mr. Anker's initial sample was of the Harvard students that he observed, both as a student and as a student advisor. This sample would be considered a convenient sampling due just to his ease in obtaining the people that he did, and it would likely be unrepresentative of the population as a whole. I say that because Harvard students, by and large, aren't a great representation of the whole of this country. Due to their socioeconomic backgrounds, age, other factors, they just wouldn't be a great representation. That said, Mr. Anker has had a wealth of people with which he's had to fine-tune his findings. He's worked with multiple corporations in 45 countries, I think he said. So I'm sure he's been able to create a better sample size and sample population than he originally experienced with his initial work on that. He didn't go into specifics on his field work, but I imagine most of the work was done in interviews with various people, both at Harvard and in his continuing work. So all in all, I found this TED Talk to be really interesting, particularly that Mr. Anker is interested above all in the outliers, those people that are above the curve, from whom we can glean information and hopefully raise the average through examples of resiliency and positivity. Anyway, have a great week, guys.